This is Earth during the Cambrian Period, a time over 500 million years ago, when life on Earth was just getting, well, weird. This is the era of unrecognizable creatures, barren landscapes, and survival challenges unlike anything we face today. But what would it take for you to survive in this ancient world? Let's dive in, literally, and see if we can turn this alien world into our new home. Spoiler alert, it's going to be tough, but hey, you're a clever human, let's give it a shot. The Cambrian period lasts from about 541 to 485 million years ago. The land, completely barren. No trees, no grass, not even moss. But turn to the oceans and it's the opposite. An explosion of life so diverse it makes today's coral reefs look tame. But let's not romanticize it. This isn't a tropical getaway. You're not climbing Maslow's hierarchy of needs here. You're barely scraping the bottom. Your focus is survival. So let's tackle the big four: air, water, shelter, and food. Let's start with the basics: breathing. Oxygen levels in the Cambrian were complicated. Early Cambrian air might have had just 10% of today's oxygen levels, which means you'd last about as long as a goldfish out of water. But let's assume you've lucked out and landed in the late Cambrian, where oxygen levels rose to something closer to high altitude environments or deep cave air. Survivable, but challenging. You'd feel constantly out of breath, like you're stuck on a steep hike that never ends. Low oxygen means fatigue, slower thinking, and your decision-making skills will go straight out the window. Every move needs to be efficient to conserve energy. Adding insult to injury, CO2 levels were through the roof, up to 4,000 parts per million. That's not deadly, but could cause headaches, drowsiness, and let's be honest, a terrible move. Could you breathe? Yes, although it might feel like you're permanently hungover. Fun, right? So you can breathe. Great. Next step, water. The ocean? Yeah, still salty. That's a no-go unless you're looking for fast-track dehydration. Luckily, there were freshwater rivers during the Cambrian, but don't just chug it, think before you drink. Modern river water is full of bacteria and parasites that will ruin your day, but Cambrian rivers? Probably way safer. No human pollution, and apart from some small burrowing creatures and cyanobacteria, there was minimal life in the water, meaning fewer pathogens. On top of that, anything alive in there was probably too ancient to mess with your immune system, so the odds of getting sick are really low, like 99% safe, so bottoms up. For extra caution, boiling the water would be ideal. Maybe you could fashion a bowl out of a trilobite shell, but since fire isn't exactly easy to come by in this era, yeah, raw river water it is. With air and water handled, your next priority isn't food. You can survive for a while without that. It's shelter. The Cambrian wasn't exactly a frozen wasteland. Temps at the equator hovered around 25 degrees Celsius or 77 Fahrenheit. Sounds pleasant, right? Wrong. The real danger is exposure. No trees, they won't exist for another 100 million years. Means no shade. And the ozone layer? Not as strong as it is now. UV radiation is out there doing its best to ruin your day. Prolonged exposure could mean severe sunburn or worse. Your best bet is to find a cave or overhanging rock. Long term, maybe build a mud or stone hut near the river for easy access to water. In the meantime, stay out of the sun and only move around during dawn and dusk when UV exposure is lowest. Alright, so you've got a roof over your head. Time to tackle food. The Cambrian oceans were full of life, but most of it was tiny and not very appetizing. But hey, this is survival. The ocean's buffet is open. Anomaliocaris would provide the most calories, being the Cambrian giant of course being relative, being only 2 feet long. And despite being the top predator of their time, you have nothing to worry about, they don't even have jaws. Or they were probably fast swimmers, so without any tools, good luck trying to catch them. Trilobites are your MVPs. Over 25,000 species of these little guys existed, ranging from a few millimeters to a whopping 72 centimeters. They're slow, abundant, and easy to crack open with a rock. Best of all, being an early arthropod, they're almost certainly safe to eat. Congratulations, you've got yourself prehistoric lobster. Other options? Algae mats. Tiny algae would have clumped into large floating mats, making them easy to collect. Not exactly Michelin-star cuisine, but they're packed with nutrients. If you're craving fish, there were jawless fish called condons, but they were barely a few millimeters long, more of a snack than a meal. You might be tempted to try something exotic, like the incredibly bizarre hallucigenia, but as they only measured 5 centimetres, more of an appetizer than anything else. Be careful with other ocean critters though. Echinoderms, ancestors of sea urchins and starfish, often have deadly toxins today, and they might have had them back then, so watch where you step. And anything resembling a jellyfish? Probably best to avoid. Stick to trilobites and algae, you'll thank me later. Cooking your trilobite feast would be nice. Sure, the risk of pathogens is low, but it's still a possibility. Plus a fire would make the world of difference out here in the wasteland. But fire in the Cambrian? Tough. Without the existence of trees or any other organic matter on land, fossil fuels don't even exist yet, so no point trying to search for them. However, if you're truly committed to bringing some warmth back into your life, it might just be possible. There are 2 potential fuel sources at your disposal. First is that algae you gathered. If you were to leave it out to bake in the hot sun, there's a good chance you could start a fire with it, although you might need to be eating the algae, and it won't keep the fire burning for long. Another possible solution is coastal peat deposits. It is possible you might find some of these that are built up from dead algae, in which case these can be cut out and dried and used like logs on a fire. Still, you'll need a spark for that. Try using glasses to concentrate sunlight, or you've got a steel belt buckle or keys, bang them against some flint. It's a long shot, but hey, if you've got this far, you're resourceful, you'll figure it out. Surviving the Cambrian would be a daily grind. Between low oxygen, sun exposure, and limited food, every moment would test your endurance. But on the bright side, nothing alive is big enough to eat you. You're the apex predator of this land. But hey, maybe you're holding some tools when you transport to this bizarre place. A knife, a lighter, a metal container, hell, even a hat or a decent pair of boots would improve your survival odds massively. Could you survive? Maybe. Would you want to? That's another question entirely. But who knows? If you love weird marine life and don't mind raw trilobite, this might just be your paradise. Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed this prehistoric adventure, well, you know what to do. Got survival tips for the Cambrian? Drop them in the comments. I've been Stray, and this was Could You Survive? See you in the next one.